Hey, how are you?
Cheers. Hi, Matt.
I've got the top of your heads.
All right.
Well, that's Ronnie's best angle anyway.
How are you guys?
Good,
mate.
good.
My name's Matthew. I'm a punk enthusiast. You guys are?
Ronnie Records, front man in the Leftards. This is Les Miserable, our guitarist, and I think our bass player will be joining us fairly soon. He's just been caught up in a bit of traffic, but he should be here pretty soon.
Yep, cool.
Yeah.
It's funny, the last three interviews, the guy was wearing a Cramp shirt. This is the interview.
Well, mate, you're picking good people to interview then.
There are.
Yeah. I think you know the last guys I did, I think it was Forklift Assassins or something. You
No, I
knew
don't know
them
them.
anyway.
Don't know.
No, who were they? I can't remember who they were.
Are they local?
Last week. I can't remember. I did too. Anyway, so this is both of yous. Is anyone else coming?
Yeah. Uncle Jim, our bass player, should be here in a sec.
No worries. So you guys can answer this. Where'd the name come from? Just a play on words?
No, well, we're fairly left-leaning in our thinking, and quite often when you're online and expressing your views, people agree with you, call you a bit of a leftard, like you're something wrong with you. We took the name and we wear it as a badge of honour.
Oh,
Excellent.
I thought he was having a go at me, but for being left-handed.
I didn't even know you were.
Because, as I tell a lot of people, left-handed people are smarter than right-handed people.
There's less. Oh, actually, there's probably not less when you think about it. It's just being a right-handed, you just think everyone else is right-handed. So, yeah. Well, people who play guitar left-handed spin me out. Definitely.
Freaks, all of them.
Well, actually, that's the funniest. The only thing I don't do left-handed. I play guitar right-handed, and I do everything else left-handed.
Wow, that's insanity.
Yeah,
Play guitar.
Out.
yeah. Well, that's very stretch of the imagination there.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. So influences anyway.
For me, just pretty much all the old school punk bands from the 70s era, that first wave. So, Ramones, Pistols, Damned, Dickies, Undertones, and then going into the Minor Threat and Cramps and Dead Kennedys, of course, Circle Jerks, just that era, this very early era, the Stooges and all that. Pretty much the same for Les Miserable, I think.
Yeah, well, I think the point of common point in the band is pretty much the Ramones. Ramones and the Stooges is where we also pretty much intersect with our influences. What he said, a lot of the same sort of stuff that, as a kid, the first band I got into was the Sex Pistols. Mate of mine's older brother had a heap of records, and I remember bringing a heap of records over, and we listened to hearing the Sex Pistols, and just the trashiness of it, the rawness of it is just, it was brilliant. Yeah. I'd never heard anything like that before. But then, a bit. I grew up in Tarrawanna, and we had the Proton energy pills around the corner. I went to school with the boys. You're sort of watching these guys that you knew from the neighbourhood that you grew up with, all of a sudden, doing something. You just went, well, fuck, if they can do it, we can do it.
Yep.
And that sort of got me sort of wanting to pick up a guitar and have a go. But also, a lot of the Australian stuff, sort of the waterfront, the Saints, Radio Birdman, into the 80s, the waterfront stuff, the Hard-Ons, Masterfield, Me's, Helmet,
Crimes.
Yeah, all that sort of stuff. The Cosmic Psychos, probably one of my favourite bands of all time.
Who was that?
The Cosmic Psychos.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely. They got great tongue-in-cheek humour. They're really suited to the punk scene, aren't
they? The classic Aussie larrikin stuff.
Yeah. And their grandchildren, the Chats.
Yeah. But there's so many bands that you can mention, but they all come from the same place.
Well, I think really when it comes to punk, the top of the the family tree is the Ramones, the Sex Pistols, and then down into the Radio Birdmen, the Saints. Like, if 10th generation you go down, there's still my influence of this, my influence, and it all does end up with, oh, the band that influenced me was influenced by the Ramones, or the band
absolutely.
that influenced me was influenced by this band that was influenced by the Ramones.
That 70s era stuff is, the catalyst, and then from there it went off in a million different directions.
Yeah.
But it all there's a family tree. There's a line that goes all the way back to those guys. Probably starting at Stooges era, which is a bit earlier, but you can trace that line easily.
But even as we've gotten older, and you sort of, you're always searching for new stuff. You sort of end up going back, and like you said, you look at who influenced the Ramones, who influenced the Stooges, who influenced Sex Pistols, and you start heading back to the early '60s to '50s. Digging up a lot of rockabilly stuff like this guy called Tim. It's like this, Elvis on speed sort of thing. Collins kids, Larry Collins put out this song. He's about 12 years old. Put out this song called Whistlebait. Early 50s, 53, 54, somewhere around that. It's just this little kid, 12-year-old kid with ADHD, with just shredding these country licks, but at 100 miles an hour.
Definitely.
And you got
that. So Link Ray.
I was just about to say Link Ray was another one. Uncle Jim's just arrived. If you want to just stick your head in the camera there, mate. There's our bass player. He's only 32 years younger than the rest of us, but we keep him on board. He's really good on the bass and vocals. So hello, this is Matt.
Hey, thanks for coming. Thank you for coming.
He's come all the way from Helensburgh just to meet you.
Wow. Thank you.
Come and sit next to me, Uncle Jim. How's the interviews going for you anyway?
Yeah, good. I've it's funny, but I've noticed a lot, except for Uncle Jim, a lot of the bands I'm interviewing are my age, like in their 50s and everything, and it's like, well, fun.
I feel your age, if that makes it any better.
There's so many people that like I've been playing locally, and so was Les for come up to 30 years. It's pretty impressive how many of the people from back in the late 80s are still doing music, punk music. The girls from some of the girls from Baby Machine, the Tumbleweed lads. There's still a few around that it's not driven by anything other than just love of doing that stuff. It's not like there's any money in it. There's fame in it. It's just great fun. It kind of keeps you connected to your younger self.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, what about the Descendants? You got 60-year-old guys up on stage, like.
Exactly.
You got Bill up there. He's nearly he's half in the grave, and he's still just doing it.
There's a lot of examples of that. Look at
Look at Ronnie.
Jerks. Fuck off.
He's 89 years old and still going hard.
There's a lot of bands now that are still going from early 80s, even late 70s. The Damned are still going. They've kind of been chugging along forever.
Yeah.
There's a version of the Undertones still going. There's a lot of bands that are still doing it from even up to a couple of years ago when Pete Shelley died. The Buzzcocks were still chugging.
Exactly. Yeah.
All that stuff. It's a life. It's
interesting. I watched this documentary series a while ago on the history of metal music, and I went through all the different genres of metal. One of the last episodes was grunge, and he was comparing the grunge era to the hair metal era. And they were still, these bands were getting back together, and the grunge bands were getting back together because they wanted to play. The hair metal bands were getting back together just to make money.
Yeah.
You could see the difference in the passion. These bands that were doing it purely for the fun of it, as opposed to trying to make money, were much better than the ones who were just trying to cash in.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
That's what we do. We just try and cash in. We're just in it for the money.
Sometimes we get up to $100 for a show.
You'll be able to leave it alone, soon. You'll be able to quit, live on an island.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no more
$100
day
a
jobs
show.
for us, so.
10 shows of 6 months. No, but that's only because of the COVID. That's happening. Like a lot. I think the COVID. I've on the punk side, I've been noticing a lot of flyers up, and there's always one band that's crossed out, and it's like we played with these guys last night and got COVID, so this weekend we're not playing. But it's good, the whole family thing there, there's other bands that'll jump up and say, hey, we'll play, we'll take that spot for you, blah, 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 and for the punters, the punters they're booked in seeing 4 bands and 2 bands have got COVID. It's great. There's 2 other bands jumping in.
Yeah, actually, Uncle Jim's other band did that on just last Sunday. They had to jump in like a day before the show up in Central Coast. They some band pulled out, so his other band jumped in and filled the spot, and everyone's happy. Like there's still a band. There's just something to see, and keeps things moving for the venue as well, so they have to cancel. Yeah, that's how it goes now.
Just one question: is that the remains on those skateboards?
Yeah, it is.
That is fucking fantastic, man.
That's what
I
Santa brought me.
I love the way you've done that.
I was a good boy this year, and Santa brought me a Christmas present.
Oh, mate.
Yeah, that's right.
It's just fantastic how they've done it. Like the one picture on all board. You'll probably feel like a bit of a dick down at the skateboard ramp, but I got half a DD on my board. Anyway, yeah.
Well, each board's a different member.
Yeah, or part of a different member. Okay. You guys got to, and this is one for each of you, or you can chuck in all together. But you've been given the job as picking a 5-band gig. Okay, and this I've been asking this question a bit lately, but I'm going to do it differently. First of all, you got a 5-band gig that you got to put together. Who are they? But they have to be current and alive, or alive, of course, and current.
I guess that's
You can
that's
put
too
yourself
far
in
to
there
rule out
too.
Oh, fuck, that's hard.
I know.
I'm a massive fan of the Dickies. I would love to see them again. I saw them about 6 years ago, and even though they were probably pushing 60 at the time, they were still playing 5. So I chucked them on board. God, who's still alive? I'm looking forward to seeing Circle Jerks, who I've never seen. That
At the uni? Are you going to the uni one?
They'd have to be on the bill.
For sure.
Are all of Fugazi still alive?
Yeah, Fugazi's still alive.
That's my one.
Look at this young fella knowing who Fugazi is.
Hey, that's great. Fantastic.
Who else is out there still going? I mean, I've seen the Dam plenty of times, but I'd see them again, no problem anytime. They've got that really kind of massive range of sort of starting off as a proper punk band back in, early punk days of Britain and covering a whole bunch of other stuff in the meantime, changing their styles, but they're still great to watch live. They chuck plenty of the old stuff in there, and I don't know. Like last time I saw No Effects, they were play a song and then there was like 10 minutes of chatter in between. So that kind of
that's part of the best part with No Effects is when they talk. I think.
The last time I saw Bad Religion, they were just really boring. Just
oh really?
So,
yeah. He's hit. Old age is hitting him pretty hard. He was never that frantic on stage anyway.
No. It was all about like that. Those early records, great vocals, great ideas coming out, and pretty kind of strange song progressions. And then it sort of got really, really formulaic and quite predictable and dull. And they definitely lost that kind of early excitement. But I didn't get to see them until like 30 years after they formed, and it was like,
oh wow,
up my numbers. It was just really, really.
Yeah.
I don't know. We saw. I was lucky enough to see a lot of the old punk bands when they were still going, but a lot of them have passed away or just no longer going. Probably got a good list for you.
No question. That current ones are probably I'd go the Melvins, the Cosmic Psychos, Mudhoney, maybe Kid Congo, Powers.
Oh yeah,
Why
Kid
don't you
Congo,
put something out?
Something's coming out real soon.
yeah.
And the last one, probably the fifth. That's a hard question. Someone like Off or the Circle Jerks. Like the Melvins never disappoint. Every time I see them live, like complete opposite of what he was saying about No Effects. They don't speak during songs, in between songs. An hour and a half of them just going hard at it with no breaks.
Yeah. So if I can ask Ronnie first, if you had to pick a headliner, what would that have been out of all those fantastic bands you said? Who would have to be the headliner? Who would you choose?
Too hard.
Leftards?
Oh, I don't know. That's too, like, you're asking me what's the best. Like, I've seen
I am.
a lot of them. I think the show that really surprised me and blew me away the most out of all the, I've seen so many great shows, but the Dickies really they played a small venue in Sydney.
Wow.
Unbelievable. It was like the place maybe not even 200 people, and just going at it like they were 25. But I saw an old South Australian band called Exploding White Mice that time and time again. I don't know, Meanies I've seen 30 times. They're always good.
Yeah.
If it was my choice and money wasn't an object, I'd have all those punk bands, and then John Farnham would headline.
Yeah, he's the voice for sure.
The one band that really surprised me the most, I reckon, because I didn't know nothing about him, didn't know what to expect at all, was Zeke. I remember going to see Zeke years ago, and we were there to see Nunchuck and Superfly, who was a support band.
Yeah.
I remember someone saying, "Oh, there's some band of Epitaph," and we're thinking it's going to be some pop punk band. And then Zeke come on in 20 minutes and just blow the place away and walk on. It was less than 20 minutes. They would have played 15 songs, and they just destroyed the place and walked off.
Excellent. No, Zeke are great, definitely. I'd actually pick them as one of mine now that you've brought it up. So anyway, let's talk about you guys. Like, what music were you listening to when you were growing up? And at home, what did mum and dad put on? Or
my parents didn't listen to music. My parents didn't listen to music at all. I grew up watching Countdown. Sunday nights. I had older sisters, so they were into.
Leo Sayer.
Yes,
he's a one-man band.
I started getting into like the Sex Pistols, and I would have been like 11 or 12 when I sort of started getting interested in that sort of stuff.
I grew up with
Kiss. Sorry, Kiss is another one.
Countdown, American Top 40. My first major love band was Kiss back in the 70s when they were really exploding.
Yep.
Parents were listening to Schlager music, which is like, kind of really sentimental European stuff because that's where they're from. So George Baker Selection, Boney M, just that kind of stuff. So disco era. So I got an ear for pop music. I do like some pop stuff from that era. I'm not going to say I don't, just because I'm playing the punk band, so you can't like that stuff. I do.
No.
Yeah. But, you know what I mean. And everything, like all the new wave stuff that came through, there was bits and pieces out of that I really liked in the early 80s, the synth pop and some of the, some stuff like the musicianship in bands like Duran Duran, especially the bass player, amazing stuff. But also, all the underground stuff I started listening to in the early 80s, just accidentally discovering the Ramones, but also having like people that were babysitting my brother and I playing as tapes by the Damned and the Pistols and that kind of stuff. So being aware already at the age of like 10 or 11 that this other sort of stuff existed. I didn't even know it was punk. I just knew that it was this music,
fun,
radio or anything.
Yeah.
And then later on, massive fan of things like the Pixies and some of the early grunge bands, Mudhoney, Nirvana, and all that stuff.
Yep.
And it kind of like
He asked about when you were a kid, not.
I was going to say Ronnie's had a long life, so it's going to.
It was Billie Holiday back in the.
I remember the first time I heard Elvis. For me, like
and country music.
Do you know what? I used to actually really like country music until I figured out that they weren't joking.
I actually do I'm a massive, Johnny Cash, Hank Williams. I love that sort of stuff.
Because it all ties into things like the Cramps and that.
Even Slim Dusty.
No, not Slim
Dusty. Slim Dusty's good.
Man, you got a line somewhere.
As it's become a catchphrase with me, but as I say all the time, there's always a gem in every genre of music. There's always that one song
you always
where you go,
gotta find
I
something
fucking dig it. And then you go, I might listen to this genre for a while and oh fuck, and the rest is shit. But there's always one.
That's it. I can categorically admit that I fucking absolutely love a few ABBA songs because
definitely.
There are some gems in there.
Yeah.
Production, harmonies, all that stuff.
There's a lot of punk bands out there as well.
Absolutely. So let's ask us for a list of those.
Yeah, look, hey, if you can think of one, a list, definitely.
I don't want to be too bitchy.
No, but that's right.
We never played Wollongong again.
I think most of my mates are in them. So.
No, honestly, I think I've nearly done 26, 27 interviews, probably about that. And you guys have been having the most fun. You guys are really like, I've been interviewing these punk bands and it's like I'm in a job interview with a business thing. They're like, you guys are really doing the punk thing.
I'll give you the reason, because you were like 8.5 minutes late with getting this link sent to us.
Yes.
For another 2 of these beers, so a little bit.
Mate, I have enough seriousness in my day job, mate. I don't need to, I don't need to be serious outside of work.
Yeah, that's it. So, all right. So you finished speaking about that topic then, obviously.
What was the topic? I forgot.
No, we are excellent. Just the music you grew up listening to. And you don't, this is not to change, to bring out anything, but what is your favorite? It does not have to be punk. Your favorite genre of music?
For me, it is punk. It's just it's what it is.
Yeah, I'd agree. Like for me, like if I had to choose just one genre, then for the last 35, 40 years, then punk, old punk in particular would be it.
Come back to it. I listen to other stuff, like you said, you pick out gems in every genre.
Exactly.
Just a little bit of that. But at the end of the day, mate, I can't go past the Ramones or the Stooges. Or I class AC/DC as a punk band.
From the 70s era stuff is.
I class the Vinyls as a punk band.
Oh, absolutely.
A lot of all those early Aussie pub rock bands are only a couple of years after the initial wave of punk. You can definitely feel a lot of energy.
For sure.
Bits of it in bands like Icehouse and My Sex and all that. They had that energy. Midnight Oil, Political. It's not as fast as some of that early punk stuff, but it definitely has a lot of similar kind of energy and messages and whatever. There's elements.
Yeah.
And that's what made that early Aussie pub rock scene such an awesome, better than or equal to anything else that was going on in the world in the early 80s was the Aussie music scene, was the diversity and all that stuff that was happening.
Fantastic.
Unreal.
Like I couldn't give you a favorite genre. I just like good songs. Like there's a good song and it happens to be country, or there's a good song and it happens to be, like some real frilly pop thing. Then like
I've got 3 songs. I've got 3 Machine Gun Kelly songs on my song list. And like I'm not embarrassed to admit that.
I would be.
I wouldn't go and see a gig.
I don't know who Machine Gun Kelly is.
Okay. Have you seen the movie Dirt?
Rapper, and now
he's thinking he's playing punk, but he's just playing rock. But he's put in the punk genre, but it's not. I wouldn't go see him live because I don't think the money would cover the only 3 songs I like of his. If I went to see him live,
you'd have to put up with him
those 3 songs over and over.
I'm gonna, after this chat, I'm gonna look up Machine Gun Kelly because I know the name, but I don't know anything about.
Well, have you seen the movie Dirt about Motley Crue?
Yeah, I have.
He plays Tommy Lee in the movie.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, but there's 3 songs. I'm Okay, Bloody Valentine, and 27 that I really like of his. And like, I will sit there and I won't, in the car, if it comes on the radio, I won't turn it off. But there's 90% of what I hear on the radio, I like, and my missus knows that too, and she turns it up and looks at me because she's got it on her fucking steering wheel. So I'm playing with the stereo, and she's straight back onto it, like Justin Bieber or something. And I
like her already. You
gotta act like it doesn't bother you.
Yeah, I can't. It does bother me. I can't. She know.
I've just spent the last years with the teenage stepdaughter, and she's put me through hell with her music. So I can just switch off. Like, you just have to switch off because judge everything. You're just gonna be there all day.
You're not gonna listen to anything.
Yeah. Yep. Excellent. The best decade. You've pretty much answered this, because I think. I'll answer the question first. My favourite decade is the 80s, especially because I love punk music, and 80s was the best punk decade. Like, the 90s sucked in punk. Okay, you had Grinspoon, and Blink 182. You had all that shit, and the 2000s have been great. I've been getting into a lot of Aussie bands again. This is why I started this show, because. Yeah, I got back into listening to, because all I listened to was World War 24, Hard Ons, fucking all those. Is the 80s, 70s punk, and I didn't know there was such a big scene in Australia with the punk scene, because I've been bringing up kids for the last 20 something fucking years, and I didn't really realise that the punk scene was as good as it is.
Which decade was the Leftards in? Would you say?
I think that one. I think there's always, like, regardless of what's popular in the charts and all that, there's always a punk scene, and it might be sort of lying low and brewing for a while, and then it comes up every few years, and it's morphed a little bit, but it's always there. Like what we've discovered in the last few years, that every town and every city in Australia has a little scene, not but just one band, but there's just a band in every town that does their version of what punk is. So it's alive and well, and it always will be.
I think it depends what country you're looking at too. If you look at the 70s stuff, it was UK and the US. I think 80s Australia, the Sydney scene in the 80s was pretty strong.
Yep.
It depends on where you're looking, but like Ronnie said, there's always a scene somewhere. The best gig we ever played was at Curry of all places. We played in a room probably the size of this room we're in now, smaller than this.
Yeah,
people in there, and the local bands that played were like, technically, but they were awesome. They were absolutely awesome. And like, just in the middle of fucking nowhere.
Yeah,
we just turned up at this shop.
And
on a Saturday afternoon.
They actually arrived in a stretch limo because their dad owned a stretch limo company. So
magic.
Up in this to play this venue that's no bigger than a single car garage. It's 20 people in there. It was like the best show ever. It was awesome. That's
the best show question. Yeah. That's the best show question gone. I don't have to ask that now. Yeah,
one of the best. We've had lots of them. There was another. There's been a few others, but like at the Foundry in Wollongong, where we had to go after this really good young
Space Boys
punk band.
Yeah, so Space Boys are awesome.
They're all got the moves and they all look great, and the front man's just all over the audience. Holy shit, we have to go on after these guys, and we're like 30 years older than them. And the second we started playing, like, the kids would just run up. These were like teenage kids jumping on the stage and grabbing all our stuff and getting right into it. And I thought, you know what, that age thing is absolutely irrelevant. If you're good, you're good. Or if you get, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I remember that gig with Roddy's talking about. I'm thinking, geez, we're going to come across as the drunk. It's really embarrassing. But I remember going on and like within by the second song, there was people trying to grab shit off the stage. There was shit flying. It was awesome. And a comment after that, someone in the crowd said it was like Boys had aged 30 years. it was like that. Both bands were similar sort of energy level, and someone said it was like watching
two versions of the same.
Yeah.
Before and after.
Yeah.
An analogy.
Drugs.
Yeah, that's great. So, okay, how is your bass guitarist original member? Yeah.
No, I wasn't even born when they started.
Okay, because that was
Well, I could give you the full history of the band if you really want.
No, look, let's just say bands are an entity and members come and go.
Yeah.
They leave for various reasons, and our original bass player left for various reasons. And we've got Uncle Jim, who is absolutely the bomb as far as backing bass is concerned.
Well, it turns out, really, this is the truth.
Here we go.
Our original bass player and I, unbeknownst to ourselves, turned out to be half brothers. We share the same father. Turns out that our father is sitting next to me. So back in the early 80s, Ronnie was the leader of the new romantic Wollongong scene. He knocks up two best friends, takes off out of town. Back 20 years later, and shitloads of child support. So myself and Pinko, our original bass player, think we need to earn our mum some money. There's no money involved here at all. So we team up with him, the biggest mistake we ever made. We try and make some money back for our mums. Pinko made his share and he got out. So now he's doing he's following his passion of doing his yacht rock concept album. And good luck to him.
I just don't want to sound arrogant or ignorant or whatever and believe you guys. Like that could actually happen. It could be true.
It's just a comment. Like
the truth is, Pinko, we used to get asked every gig. Pinko and I used to get asked, "Are we brothers?" So we used to tell that story that we're half brothers. And Dad, we're doing this.
His dad. Yeah. No, the reason I asked, because I was going to ask, how long have the Leftards been together? You said you've been playing for 30 years, but I think maybe before that you were with other bands.
Oh, Leftards is like 4 years.
Okay.
But Zuby and Les Miserable and I came out of another band 10 years ago called the Heaps Goods, that went for a couple of years. And prior to that, we've each been in at least half a dozen other bands just locally, purely as a hobby, like because we don't play darts or snooker. So we're just playing. Yeah. so that's
his age.
Yeah, it's just an extension of wanting to carry on with it. Like you stop playing for a while, you think, oh, that's enough. I'm kind of it's a hassle. You got to organize shit. You got to organize gigs and rehearsals and recording and people. And it's just like, fuck, it's a pain in the ass. I think I'm done with it. And then you stop for a few months and you go, oh, I really miss doing that stuff. The actual gigs themselves and the recordings, having something out, a record, a 7-inch or something with your own music on it that people are actually buying just because they like the gig. That's a massive high. That's a reward.
Yeah, definitely. And has it always been punk that you've played in bands?
He's not good enough for anything else.
I think mostly just punk. And I've done a few other things, but mostly it's been that sort of punky sort of stuff.
Thanks, man.
Did like an alternative country band for a while with
you think
people.
You can't remember.
And
like the Johnny's kind of thing.
No, a bit quiet, a bit more moody, darker than that.
Okay.
That's what the one.
And I played in like kind of a what do you describe Musk as? A sort of a mock 70s hard rock band, something along the lines of the Sweet.
Sweet, yeah, Magic.
Yeah. Ronnie's big claim to fame is Fug. You would have heard of Fug back in the 90s?
Yeah, I do. I know Thug.
Yeah,
That
well,
fucking
That was
fuck,
another band. That was another band I played in, but it's
fuck your dad. Fuck your dad.
What? Not lately.
Thug.
He's been dead for
No,
2
it's
years.
Thug. Didn't.
Oh, Thug.
Yeah.
did you have a song called "Fuck Your Dad"?
No, no.
Yeah, they did. Thug. Are you
Thug.
talking about?
No, you're thinking of Thug, TH. We're talking Thug, F-U-G.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was thinking of the guy from fucking
Tex Perkins, isn't it?
Perkins.
Yeah,
Tex
no, he's got a
Perkins.
bit of a speech impediment, but it's Thug with an F-U.
I've got everything Thug ever made. I love him. I love him. That was just fucking perfect. If you Thug, they were great. No, if you the album Jimi Hendrix and Jim Morrison put out, I wake up this morning and found myself dead. That's Thug of the 80s. That's
Yeah,
the 80s.
that's like the Red Eye stuff.
Yeah. Extremely. Definitely. No, I thought you were saying Thug. Yeah,
No.
they did that song, Fuck Your Dad.
Anyway, now we've cleared that up.
Yeah, now we've cleared that. Have you had that moment?
So you like the band that I wasn't in?
Yeah. Which for most people, most people in that category.
Yeah.
Yeah. So have you ever done a gig and thought, no, this is not for me?
No.
There was one show I did about 20 years ago where the band I was playing was supporting Friends of Rom down at Jindabyne, some pub at Jindabyne. It was full of
Fug is the band you're talking about.
just jocks and just people that just weren't into punk music at all, not even particularly Friendsville, but we were supporting it, stand up there in fucking Superman capes and costumes and doing our thing and playing to 15 people that are just looking at us going, you guys are noise pollution, you guys should not be here, blah, 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 blah. And that was the time, I was only about 27 or 28 at the time, thinking, you know what, I think I'm wasting my time. I'm wasting my life here, but I carried on anyway.
Yeah. Oh, how could you not?
Other people have thought we shouldn't do it, but
I don't know where to go from that one.
I think we should give it up.
there's only 13 people in the show.
Now there's like that kind of embarrassment factor where we're that old that people just
I'm not.
People just go, fuck, geez, guys, just give it up. But we just do it to annoy them now.
Yes. Who's the best band that you've ever supported? As in the Australian scene, and then have you supported any overseas bands that come over and you supported them, or do you just mainly stick in that circle? Or
I think this current band, Leftards, I don't think we've supported anyone that's particularly big or famous. But other bands in the past, sort of back in the 90s, supported all the big, Meanies and Custard and Something for Kate and all those kind of bands. I don't know, I don't mind playing, just sticking to just little local scenes. We go up to Central Coast and Newcastle pretty regularly and just support their bigger bands, and just doing that, that's enough for us.
Yeah.
Support Pennywise or anyone.
probably the bands like that we've played with that we've liked the most. I'd say, the Evil Twin, they're a band from Sydney. Around a few years ago, we played with a fair bit. Moot from
that's who I interviewed last week.
Yes. Like, apart from being nice guys, they're doing their own thing, and
great guys.
Coming from a town where
there's nothing,
they're the only band that does anything remotely original. That we really respect that. When you're coming from that kind of background, so we really like those guys. Newcastle has a whole bunch of bands that we love playing with, and Knots, Bitchcraft, I Hate People, a whole bunch of them. They welcome us with open arms up there. We're probably bigger in Newcastle than we are in Wollongong, even though we're from down here. But we do really well up there, and we feel part of their community. We love playing up there.
In Wollongong, U6 Disco, great band. Space Boys, Ruckus have been around forever. There's some really good bands coming through Wollongong, especially some of the younger bands like U6 Disco are amazing.
I've got songs from you guys on my song list. Like you guys, and this this is what I was talking about with another. I think it was actually more. You guys are amazing. I do not go and skip songs or anything when your songs come up. Like, and Moore was doing it too. Like, we're shit, and you guys have actually got it together in the sound. Fucking.
You know what though? That's how we figured it out. That's how we get plays on like Spotify and stuff like that. Because by the time you go, oh, this is fucking shit, right? It's 35 seconds in or whatever. You go to skip it, it's already done.
Sure, yeah.
Also, last couple of records we put out, we've done it through a friend who has a little tiny studio. It doesn't exist anymore. But seriously, it's a concrete single car garage with maybe 3 baffles on the walls and a little desk. And for some reason, he has captured our sound much better than other studios we recorded at that we've spent 5 times as much on and have all the big rooms and all the proper equipment. For some reason, this garage has captured us way better. So
yeah, Darcy. What he's doing, Darcy Ross Kelly, is that his name? I think that's his name.
So,
he had Foley Street Studios in Wollongong there for a while. He's at a studio in Ferry Meadow now. And mate, this guy, he's awesome. He knows what he's doing. Real chilled out guy to work with. There's no ego at all. He just does his thing and it comes out sounding awesome.
Yeah, and the other thing was because he's quite young, he's got completely different reference points to what we do. So, we want it to sound like this. So other studios we've worked out, the guitars were always nowhere near where we wanted them. The vocals were too loud. And this guy's just been open to listening to what we say and, mixing it the way we think it should sound rather than saying, no, I want it done like this and kind of trying to put his own stamp on it. And unfortunately, he's not doing the studio stuff anymore.
He is. He's starting again.
Is he? Yeah. All right.
So in the studio, do you all jump in and write the songs and the music, or is there a certain Ronnie? Are you the songwriter? Or
No, not necessarily. It's kind of changed a little bit depending on who's been in the band. Like initially, it was really Les. Quite often would come up with a bunch of riffs, and then we'd just dismiss all of them and ignore him completely.
Except the one.
No, he'd come up with some stuff, and then I might arrange it, and then just chuck some lyrics and a melody. And it was definitely a team effort. It felt very much like a team effort. Later on, later members, like Uncle Jim has actually written some absolutely killer bass parts that we've then chucked stuff over the top of. So it depends who's been in the band, but there's no one person that's just written everything, music, lyrics, melody, all that stuff.
He writes lyrics.
Well, I have written all the lyrics, but as far as like the riffs and the music, and I have written a couple of riffs too, but the other guys have definitely chucked in. Our last drummer was a big contributor for just how the drums should go and a bit of arrangement stuff.
I think that's a long-winded way of saying we all sort of chuck in.
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
But yeah, it's that
I
sort
was
of thing.
born in 19.
19. It's sort of just a case of, someone might come up with something cool and then we'll just all pile on it and add on to it, and it's we end up coming up with some cool stuff, and then some stuff we'll work on for a while and it's just too nuts and too ridiculous and we go, okay, we'll try again, sort of thing. But usually we embrace of weird shit.
What's that?
Do you ever disagree?
Sorry, what was that?
Say like, oh no, I can't believe you just brought that up.
Yeah, all the time. The rule of thumb is you just agree with Ronnie. If you don't agree with Ronnie, he's going to do it anyway.
That's right.
Oh man.
No, it's not like that. It isn't like that. I know it's sort of like some things, a lot of things that the guys contribute just really work. And I'm not shy of saying, look, I really don't think this particular little thing works. Like, I just say it. Like, everything else I'm quite positive about, but if there's something that's just really bugging me,
I think we all work really well together. Like, I don't think there's any time where if we don't think something's good, we'll go like, oh no, that doesn't really work here.
It never ends up with like stabbing in the eye or anything like that. We're just like, okay.
Can you make me for a second?
You can't see it.
How do I get big?
we've just got this new drummer in, and I think he's also going to be a bit of a contributor. Oh, lost the volume. Can't hear. Can you speak? Is he speaking? Please fix this. Hello. Oh, there he is. Can we speak?
Yeah. No, sorry. No, I was just, someone came to the door and I just shoot him off like, get away, please. Yeah.
Ah, you're right.
Oh,
Same thing happened here.
yeah.
Anyway, we're like a team. Yeah, it's a team. Effort.
Yeah, no.
I'm gonna be the last one standing.
I've got. That's all right because I've got. How are they? Like, is the age thing much of a problem? Did they say, "Come on, mate, fucking"?
No, it's usually me ribbing them. So it's all in good fun sort of thing. But they've got very different reference points to me. They often share some ideas and they sort of go like, oh, this sounds like this, and they'll know what they're talking about. But I sort of had to look it up just quietly for a lot of stuff. But I think it works quite well because we've grown up listening to different music and we're, coming from different angles at it.
Yeah. Excellent. So I'll wait till Ronnie gets back before I ask that. I'll start with you guys actually. Okay, so some Rancid, let's just pick Rancid, come over, you support them or something, and they say, we want to do a world tour or something. We want you guys on that. Will you just get up and go? No. Is there things holding you here? Will you give it?
Well, they're old, so they've got work and families and stuff like that. So I'd say I would just be able to sort of drop everything and run off for a little bit. But I don't have any kids that I know of, so I don't have responsibility.
Well, for one, I hate Rancid, so I wouldn't do it.
Oh, really? Okay. That's that. Yeah. Never heard that before. I hate Rancid.
Yeah, but look, like you said, Ronnie and I are a bit older and got commitments, work full time. I've got 3 kids. It'd be hard to, if it was term, a couple of weeks, yeah, but no, long term.
Even if like after the tour you get a great fucking record deal, is there still something that would hold you? Have you done
record deals are scams anyway, man?
Yeah, I know that. Yeah,
record deals are scams, so that would really,
certain amount.
If they gave us $100,000 at the end of it, that'd be all right.
Look, mate, like we said before, we do this for something to do. It's a hobby. We don't play golf. We don't, I don't play soccer or golf or anything like that. This is what I do for a hobby.
You should consider it though.
Yeah, I should.
You might find something you're good at.
So
well, that's sort of what we're about. We're not we're not trying to get 1 million people to listen to us on Spotify or 6 million people to like us on Facebook or anything like that. We're just trying to maybe Ronnie, I don't know, he's got to kick off his modeling career, but the rest of us,
the aging woman sex symbol.
Yeah, the rest of us, I think we're all trying to write some cool songs, and then maybe in a couple of years, a young band listens to it and goes, "Oh, this is really cool," and sort of maybe decides to start writing songs based off that sort of weird old man punk sort of music, whatever,
I like the fact that we've made a pretty big connection with people that are 30, 35 years younger than us as far as the music. It's not like it's just some old man punk band that only old man punks listen to. We've definitely got a young following as well as, group.
And it's proof it's proof with me being here as well. If this wasn't real shit, and if Leftards weren't doing cool stuff, I wouldn't be involved in it. If it was just any other just boring shit dad band, I'd go whatever. But
I was actually going to ask you that. If a band with a great record deal and a touring worldwide, Japan, America, would you leave the Leftards to do that? Would you say to him, "Fuck, staying with us"? Come on, man! You've got this opportunity here. You're young.
We'd not going to tell him to go. We'd sack him. We'd sack him to make sure that he went off. He's really talented. So
excellent. Well, this one's
when they were jamming. I just have no choice.
Frozen.
Yeah, that's it. Like, for me personally, it would have to be the songs and the band in general would have to be better than Leftards. And
which you're not going to get.
No. No, in all seriousness though, it is like it's an actual like high bar. It would be something. It would have to be something serious, something serious for another band would have to be quite good.
But look,
I'm controlling his mouth while he's saying that.
In all honesty, Uncle Jim, he's got his own band. He's the front man of his own band called the Lenores, which are great. If things started taking off for them, we totally understand if he went off and did that. If he come back and did the odd show with us, great. But
you play bass, by the way? Just curious.
Me?
Yeah.
I got into a band in '85, and that talent thing kept popping up, and I realised I had.
Haven't stopped me though.
Yeah, but no, I realised I had none. I even used to like. I'd go to friends' place that were in bands and everything, and I'd say, "Oh, let me do some vocals, like blah blah blah," and no, it's just like it's.
You're sold as you're in.
You're overqualified.
I'm happy to just listen to everybody's amazingness. That's what I'm content with that, and I'll do anything to get people like and I will do fucking anything for the Australian punk scene. I swear to God, I will. The punk scene in general, you know what I mean? Yeah, I like. I couldn't do it. Fucking, it's not me, but I'm happy. I'm glad because I'd rather be in the crowd and watch than be on the stage and fucking feel nervous. And
a lot of the time, people who aren't in the bands themselves are the greatest supporters of like all the punk circles and stuff like that.
Definitely.
Like, I don't think that Shay Fox plays anything, but he's like, he's put out documentaries and stuff, and he a lot like yourself, he's very involved in all that sort of thing.
Just has the passion to be part of that scene, not necessarily in a musical sense, but just in some way be involved. So, these interviews, he's done a couple. He's second documentary now, and that sort of stuff.
So the punters like yourself should get more credit. Like they hold up as well.
Even like Tyrone that does all the animation stuff like that. There's a lot of people out there that without them it wouldn't happen. Shit wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
Can you see the picture behind me? That's Tyrone.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, Tyrone did that. I interviewed him.
Guy.
I had to interview him as soon as I saw his work with the Owen Guns. And you guys, I had to interview him. I thought, which is the two of the different interviews of the whole show has been Tyrone and another guy that has produced a lot of and helped the Australian punk scene out, like with the Exploding White Mice and all that sort of stuff, and. Yeah, Tyrone, he was amazing. For a young fella, I had the best conversation. We had to stop the kind of thing. He's great. And I said, I'd love you to do a picture for the show. I said to him, I'd love you to draw a thing for a shirt or something. And he came back with this and a drawing of me drinking a beer, like with a beer in my hand. And he did that, and I said, "Man,
he was 19."
Yeah, I said, "Thank you so much for that."
That first clip that he did for us, he was only 19 years old when he did it, And he's done since, but like he's already like the bar is very high already.
He was 19, and all the references that you see in there is a lot like beyond his years as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, no.
I've known Tyrone since he was a kid, since he was probably 12 or 13 years old.
Okay.
And great kid, really like always been left to centre, always been right into what he was into, really passionate about what he did. And I've always encouraged that in him, that, you know, follow his own path, do what he's doing. Yeah, he's awesome. He's an absolute legend.
He is, definitely. Yeah, no, he with the Owen guns too, he actually, every word that they sang, he brought that out in his, every word they sang, and every thought that they meant, he brought that out in that clip, and that's what got me wanting to look at his shit and see what he was doing, because it was, and then I found out how old he was, and I'm like, fuck, mate.
Yeah, super talented.
Shay Fox is someone else you should interview.
Okay. Yep.
He's got like he's the guy I mentioned earlier. He's done like, he's on his second documentary about like the whole underground and all that. But he's quite knowledgeable with that, all that stuff, because he's talked to all these bands, and yeah, he's a bit like Tyrone in that, really like active in the whole and all the circles and stuff. And
he's this guy that lives in Penrith, doesn't drive a car, that catches a train. Like we'll play in Dapta, he'll be there. We'll play on the Central Coast, he'll be there. We'll play on the, Newcastle, he'll be there. And it's
Magic.
all, he gets around on public transport the whole,
with all his camera gear,
with all his gear. It takes him hours, and it's just through passion. He just wants to be there. He wants to do it.
So I'm not allowed to eat my place, so I'm having some here.
No worries, mate. No worries.
Oh, look, a plectrum-shaped cheese board. Classy.
Do you have a theme? Is there a theme where, like, you're, you know, not really political? Yeah, okay, yeah. Is there a theme?
Yeah, before you ask that question, our name is the Leftards. So.
Yes. We spoke about that, yeah.
There is that political undertone, but with a sense of humour as well.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Like there's a lot of shit flying around, and it's a lot of energy, but we don't take ourselves too seriously.
I think a couple of our previous members missed the political part of it and didn't realise it was political until a fair way in, and then realised that they weren't actually that way aligned, so that's why they left. But yeah, we've got the right lineup now. The new drummer is absolutely awesome. In a couple of months, we'll be back out playing shows. We've got stuff already booked for Newcastle and Central Coast, and we'll probably book something down Wollongong way and
Sydney.
Sydney. But it's looking good. Like he's a well-known guy from another band, and he plays stand-up drums, so that's always a bit of a spectacle.
Avalanche. I'll talk to you.
Yeah, just don't worry. Carry on, guys.
No, we just get very bored with you.
Yeah.
It's very
when he starts talking, we tune out.
Yeah. Yeah, he'll be like, "Oh, guys, listen up. So with this gig on the weekend," and I'll be like, "All right, Zuby, what'd you do on the weekend, mate?"
Oh God! So tell me about the Leftards. Oh, young. Obviously,
Haven't we been talking about the Leftards?
Yeah. Give me more dirt. Give me more, like, what are you guys all? Obviously, we've spoken about what you're all about, but like, what are you guys? It's just a thing, like you said. It's just like we don't play golf. We do say we live it. Is there a place that you want to hit in what the Leftards are doing, or have you hit that place, or are you just just fun?
Yeah, what we've been doing, right, where everybody gets on and can work together without it being weird or there's there's always all the bands I've ever played in, there's always just that one person that doesn't quite fit or align with the rest of the band. And right now that doesn't happen, and it didn't happen in the last lineup either. Everyone got on. Got a new drummer. He's also on the same page with everything. So there's no tension in the band. So it's just make playing fairly regularly, like 2 nights a week, every week. We can't do that because we've got lives outside the band. So that's where we're at. We're already there. Like
we've been trying to get to Brisbane for a while now. It was, the first lineup we took it offers to go to Brisbane. A couple of members didn't want to go. That's fine. Just before the last lockdown, we had it all booked in, ready to go. The band sort of last lockdown really screwed us over.
Yeah, I was going to ask that. Since you brought that up, how did the lockdown treat you? Like, what was we messaging each other, going, "Oh, listen to this." Did you get to be together much? Or
put it this way, like the day that we went into the lockdown, that Saturday afternoon, we were in the recording studio. So we walked out of the recording studio, and Jim looked at me and went, "Fuck, we're going to lockdown in 2 hours." See each other for 6 to 8 months after that.
Yeah.
We had booked from that date on, pretty much the rest of the year. We were going to Brisbane. We had recording lined up. We had pretty much gigs booked for the whole year.
And really good ones, like just slightly up above where we like better positions on bills in other towns and that sort of thing. A couple of Queensland shows for the first time ever for us. Took a bit, because we're all got very busy lives with jobs and kids. It takes line that shit up so that everyone can do it at the same time. All that we lost, and so I got despondent. I kind of gave up on it for a while, and then just as things were coming good, drummer decided to move on. So I had no drummer. I was like, "Oh, just fuck it. Let's just." More, but I got a bit despondent, but it's always kind of keeps things moving along with that sort of stuff. And we lined up a few rehearsals earlier this year, and he was great, absolutely perfect, except that he's overseas at the moment. That was already booked for him. So when he gets back, in a couple of months, then we'll seriously get back into rehearsals and just carry on. Just was kind of a break. By the time we start playing again, it'll be a full year since we actually played.
Yeah, every year. It'll be every year.
Oh yeah, more than a year.
Look, it was disappointing because we were really looking forward to what we had lined up, and we were sort of getting ourselves playing really well. The combination between the four of us was really good, and it just put the brakes on everything.
Like everyone else.
Yeah, like everywhere. Like you look at now, every time you open up social media, there's another gig being cancelled. Bands going, we've had to. This bands pulled out. Like you said before, bands jump in and out, but you can't buy tickets. You can't even book anything without being cancelled. I had tickets to see that a couple of weeks ago, and was really looking forward to it, and it's been cancelled.
Yeah, no, definitely. Okay, this one's for you guys. Do you have children? No. For these guys, not you. You don't know about your children.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is for you
I'll
guys.
just wait outside.
You have children, adult children, or teen children, or do you like them listening to, or do they listen, or would you let them listen to your songs?
Absolutely, yeah. I've got 3, 14, 11, and 7. They're all very familiar with what the Leftards does, what the Leftards do. All 3 of them have been brought up from a very early age, listen to punk rock. All 3 of them have no interest in any other sort of music. My middle daughter is 11, who's a massive Elvis fanatic, which I absolutely love. This morning, I turned on the telly and Rage was on. Some shit was on. And the 3 of them just looked at me and went, "What the fuck's this shit?"
I got here at Les's place, and two of the kids are wearing Ramon shirts, and the wife's wearing a Nirvana shirt, and it was like rock and roll household. I got adult kids, voluntarily and without any kind of force, come and see the Leftards play pretty regularly. So they're not like obliged to that in any way, but they do. One lives in Sydney, so whenever we play up there, they're at every show, which is, you know, makes me feel really pretty good.
Yeah.
This one still lives at home, but she's down the door for us at gigs and watching us play. My oldest son, I would say is not a fan, but doesn't like discourage me, but doesn't actually encourage me either. Just not his thing, you know.
Yeah. But it's not that it's not that no, he's not related kind of thing.
I'm not with him.
No.
He's yet to see the Leftards. He's seen some of my other bands. I think that's probably enough for him.
Remember he did the door at the Red Bar that time?
Sean?
Yeah. Remember Sean being at the Red Bar? Red Bar
yeah, he has seen the Leftards. Yeah, right.
Funny thing, with my kids' taste in music, my daughter was in year 8 or whatever. She was in a music class. The teacher says to them, pull out your phones, bring out your Spotify, get into groups and play the first song, go random and play the first song that comes up. You know, the kids, so they're in a group of 4 or 5 kids. First kid, you know, it's Ariana Grande, whatever. Next kid's Billie Eilish or something or other. The other kid's, you know, Taylor Swift. My daughter pulls out her phone. The first thing that comes up is the Cramps Human Flyer.
Oh, excellent.
Looked at her going, what the fuck is this shit? Like, she said the look on these kids' faces, never heard anything like that.
Yeah.
You know, to her, that's just what we listen to.
Yeah. So they have any of the offspring thought, I want to be in a band? Just like that, or that?
I think my youngest is musically super talented. Like, she's a really good singer, but I think she's probably right now anyway. She's too shy to do any of that. But we've done music together. Like, she, you know, I've played her new riffs and she's sung to it. I've sort of shown her a bit of a melody and some words and that.
Fantastic.
So but she's definitely not got the confidence. Well, she's not drunk enough to go up in front of people to do it. I don't know about interests. I sort of see Uncle Jim as a bit of a stepson, so I can kind of say, well, hey, he's keen. But
he's just saying that now so that he can get a cut of whatever I make in the future.
So, do you get it?
Exactly.
Uncle Jim, do you get much of that from them? Do they try to advise you in anything? You
know, like
don't do drugs, son.
I certainly know which brand of adult diapers to go for. No, they're good. You know, it's good hanging around people that like people my age can sort of just be like, you know, oh yeah, did this on the weekend, did that, blah blah blah, just like sort of surface level sort of shit, but like we can have conversations and talk about, you know, like life experience and whatever else. So
do any of your friends your age ever say, "Were you hanging around these fucking old ones?" Like,
no, because they're cooler than most of my friends.
Funny though, you should say that.
And also, he has no friends.
the first gig we did with Uncle Jim and our old drummer, after we finished playing, we're out in the car park, and these couple of guys come up to Jim and Dr. Sian, our old drummer, and they say, "You guys are great. You just got to piss off the 2 old blokes."
As a rhythm section, they were awesome together. They definitely didn't need us as far as you know, they could move on to much bigger and better things if they wanted to. Well, he has. He's got his other band going, which are, you know, a different level of musicianship and talent. And we've never claimed to possess either of those qualities, but we do it anyway, just again, because that's out of passion. And in my mind, anyway, punk music is technical precision or musicianship or just passion. It's just energy and passion. That's all it has to be.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, you're not going to keep going.
So that's it.
You're used to him now, aren't you? You give him a lot of space in the conversation.
Yeah, no, I'm really enjoying listening to you guys. Like, it's excellent. I've only had like a few bands that have had the age difference thing. You know what I mean? And it's actually good to hear. Like the music is filling in that gap. You know what I mean? Like, would you talk to these guys if they played Slim Dusty covers? You know what I mean? Is it like, you know what I'm saying? No.
Well, he was sorry, buddy, but he was a fan before. Like, he used to come watch us before he joined the band. So,
and we kept playing, the same bill. Like his band would be on the same bill as us, and or I'd go and see a bill of bands that his band was on. I thought, I really like this guy's what he's doing.
Yeah.
It was never more than, g'day, how you going? I really like your band, great stuff. And that's where it started. And then there was just an opening for a bass player with us. And
like I sort of said before, like I sort of touched on it, like if these guys would sort of just, as you see them on the surface, just like old guys being boring and, just playing some whack shit, like I wouldn't have cared. But because it's like real shit, it's, you know what I mean? Like, that's why I want to be a part of it. And that's why I like contributing to it.
Do you have like any aspirations? Do you have like, do you want to be playing to 100,000 people?
I mean, I would like 100,000 people to like the songs that I'm on or the songs that I produce or whatever, like,
yeah.
There. No, like at the moment I every night. So if I can be in a band that affords me maybe a microwave meal or something like that, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah. I've got to ask this now that this is happening. Did they do this a lot to you? You're younger, do you get a lot of fucking...
I think a lot of the time I bring it on myself. I often sort of make jokes that, it's all right. I'm just as old as them because I just made it into last century being born. So
no, he's actually rude, and this is the only way we can sort of get him back. He's very, very fucking rude and blunt most of the time. He's actually, musically speaking, he's actually way above us. So I'm like putting us down and telling us off. That's not how you do this. Try this. Anyway.
I get more fun out of just sort of being a bit cheeky and saying, don't have to listen to you because you're older than my grandfather or something, It's all in good fun. So if I cop it back, it's definitely earned. I've definitely built up a bank of copping it back.
Yeah.
There's a great camaraderie for all of us, and him being younger just works into that. He's around. Yeah. Excellent.
So we'll go back to before you there. That was a loving moment then. It did. The sun shone out the back window when that was said. There was like this bit of halo. Something I asked them before you came and sat down. What are your influences?
So I didn't really get to answer this question before because
it's all about us.
Because I got railroaded by the two main members.
Yeah.
No, so like I was sort of raised on a lot of like metal and stuff, more classic metal, and like from Black Sabbath to sort of like Metallica was something that was played in the car like pretty much every time we went anywhere. So like I was raised on a lot of that stuff, but then
that's child abuse.
But then I got given Nirvana Nevermind for like Christmas when I was like 12 or something like that, and I fucking ruined the CD. Like I played it nonstop until March, the next year.
Yeah.
And then that just opened everything, because before it was like, it was Black Sabbath, it was Metallica, it was AC/DC, it was Judas Priest, you know, like that sort of thing. But sort of getting exposed to Nirvana just opened up the other like avenue of Ramones and Sex Pistols and Fugazi and the Melvins and all that sort of thing. So
my kids, I try to get my kids to listen to this sort of music, and it's just does not happen. And like I've got offspring from 27 all the way down to 10, and I've got one daughter, the 12-year-old, and she loves the Angels, she kind of thing, but she still, you know, loves what a 12-year-old kid loves it. Like, I tried to be the cool parent, you know what I mean, and play bands like The Dam, and I Spit on Your Gravy. I like all the songs that I grew up in as a teenager and onwards. I played it, and it's like, turn that fucking shit off, like you were brought up listening to Metallica and all that, and you went your way. I have to wear earphones when I'm in the house or in the car or something. My wife, my children, their friends, no one loves the music that I listen to. And
well, I was never ever exposed to like top 40 radio or even like much of Rage or anything like that. Like that was just never a thing in my house or in the car or anything like that. Like it was from my dad, and we were going in the car, it would be Metallica, AC/DC, stuff like that. If it was my mum, it would be like, you know, The Doors and In Excess and stuff like that. I never sort of I think I was like one of the last sort of age groups to grow up without like a personal device and stuff like that to go on the radio or go on YouTube and sort of get the whatever was currently released. So yeah, everything that I listened to was, you know, older stuff, and it was what my parents liked. And yeah, so I was never influenced by any fucking Justin Biebers or anything like that.
Yeah, thank God. We actually just bought for Christmas, we bought our 12-year-old and 14-year-old tickets to see Justin Bieber at the end of the year. Like, it was done without my consent, by the way. I found out on Christmas Day. And my daughter, she actually the other day looked it up on the phone, and she came out and she showed me the phone. She goes, I'm sitting here. The stage is here. I'm sitting here. And like, if I could even listen to him talk for the first 3 minutes, I'd go there and I'd make sure they got up the front. Like it's a gig where she doesn't need to sit in the seats here, kind of thing. And like it upsets me. Oh my God, it breaks my heart a lot seeing my 27-year-old and my 10-year-old listening to the music they're listening to. Not my mother and father, they played ABBA, Rod Stewart, The Sweet, all that sort, and I loved it. And it wasn't until the vinyls and the top Australian top 40 on a Sunday night, and I started hearing bands like the Flowers and all that sort of shit, that my whole genre of music changed. You know what I mean? And I don't know, it's hard. It's great to see the like bands like the Chats and everything, and you as a young person into a scene and into a genre that we all love, and we grew up on it as teenagers, and you know, my family's fucked. I don't get to say, hey, listen to what these guys just brought out, or you know, come and say Pennywise with me or something. You know what I mean? I don't get that, and I just can't. What do you do? Like,
nothing. You can't force it, mate. It's like try to bring the kids up a certain way. Say it might be a religion, or it might be a sort of it might be veganism, or it might be anything. You can just give them your perspective, and they'll either take it or they'll try and find their own thing. Like, just don't force them. Just that's their own life, you know.
But I failed 8 times. 8 times. I've got 8 kids. I failed every single fucking one of them. No, I'm just scared the adults they're going to become, listening to Justin Bieber, listening, you know, to fucking this rap shit, listening.
He's a great drummer, though. I have to say, he's a brilliant drummer.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
He's very talented, but
Yeah,
he just hasn't got, you know, it's just, I don't get it. So back to the Leftards.
Yeah.
So I went on just a little rant then because I see in a lot of the bands I interview, there's 4 oldies like me and a young fucking a young person. I just it's got me fucked how.
Yeah.
Why? Like I wasn't, like what I was saying. I wasn't listening to punk at home, but that was the music that I loved, that hit my thing. That wasn't what was hitting me in every day when my parents put music on. I wasn't, you know, and I play that every time I can. I play my music, and it's just it doesn't. I don't understand. But anyway, back to the Leftards.
Our last lineup, we had 2 young guys, so it was a good balance. We had Jim, who was only 22 at the time, and our drummer was only about 25, 26. So it's a really good balance. Now it's changed. The new drummer is about 50, so more like us older guys, but we've still got his ears and his perspective to help sort of balance it out a bit.
Yep.
Anywho.
This happened a couple of weeks ago with the band I was talking. The answers were just way too short, and I'm trying to extend the answers and bring, but you guys are just doing this is our answer, and let's get on to the next one. So it's all up to me, isn't it? You know, you guys are putting all in my lap. I know that, but
you're a driver.
You're the host.
Yeah, I'm the host. I know.
I'm trying to contribute as much as I can. There's not much going on.
This is why Leftards sets only end up being about 20, 25 minutes. We gave it a start, we're giving long answers, but now we're falling asleep.
But we've all got ADHD.
Hey, I'm trying to make it as enjoyable for everyone as I can, but we're getting to the point.
It's been good. It's been fucking great. But this has already gone longer than our usual set. So,
but usually I'm an hour and a half interview usually.
Oh right.
Yeah, that's. But yeah.
Ask us more questions.
Hey.
Ask us what our favourite colour is or something.
That's what Mut said. That is exactly what Mut said. Ask us our favourite colour. Yeah. We had this.
We were meant to be together.
Boys.
I was calling them Moot for the first 5 minutes of the interview, and then they said, no, we're Mut. And I'm a child of the 70s and 80s, and Mut, and I said, is it? And they said yes, and I thought, okay, that's why every song title has a swear word in it. You guys are just like, yeah.
I think there was some contention about the actual spelling of Mort. So a lot of people, like when I wear the shirt, it does look like Moot.
Yeah.
How would you spell it?
I don't know.
I thought it was M-U-T.
That's how I would have done it, with the little dots above the U.
Mutt, isn't it? That's
Might be 2 T's, really.
My Mutt's 2 T's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How would you spell it?
It's a t-shirt, wouldn't it?
Do you guys
I don't take
skateboard?
words out.
Do you guys skateboard?
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
Yeah.
kid, I've got a half pipe in the backyard. I'm not very.
Excellent.
I was a kid. I used to skate when I was a kid. Didn't skate for a long time. Then my kids have gotten to a certain age where they got interested. So we've got the half pipe. I started skating again. My younger daughter is 11. Who's really good. She's showing a lot of promise. As you see, the boards there. I collect decks as well.
I had a skateboard when I was 15 that I got from Woolworths.
The little plastic ones? Yeah.
And then one day I got the death wobbles and injured myself severely up in Padstow.
And that was going down the driveway.
Yeah, that was on the background. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm
Oh,
not.
look, mate, that's where, like you're talking about before, you know, influences in punk rock and stuff like that. And I think kid, you know, skating, it went hand in hand.
Yeah, yeah.
Pretty much.
So for
You
me-
skated, you listen to punk rock. You know, it's the same sort of energy, same sort of, you know, the fast pace of it all. You know, that was the sort of thing. I remember, you know, buying the old magazines, skating magazines, and
That would have been you at the time, though.
then, you know, opening up to the music section, and
Yeah.
you know, it's where I remember hearing about Board and the Hellman and Massive
Yep. Well,
those magazines.
yeah, that's how I heard of the suicidal tendencies. A good
Yeah,
friend of
same
mine
thing.
was a skateboarder.
What are your suicidal tendencies?
Yeah, so yeah, I remember like watching that, you know, as a kid, watching
Yeah.
take the page and possessed a skate being on there.
Yeah,
And like,
yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah, Pennywise, like in the 90s, the skate scene, the Warp Tour in the 90s, and when the Warp Tour was coming, like they had the big half pipes, like massive half pipes out there, you know what I'm saying? And that's what I think, but I think it was suicidal tendencies that did bring the skaters into that genre. Like, hey, all right, you got the hard-ons, you got all the Australian bands like that. The skate punks is what they used to be called back in the day. But yeah, is that what?
For me, it was only ever about the music. I was never into skating, and I never had that connection with skateboarding. Like, I knew it existed, and I knew that a lot of those skaters were into the punk scene, and it's about the energy of the music and all that sort of stuff. But for me, it's never been about skating. It's just been the music.
So who did you used to go see, Ronnie?
Me?
Like when as a punter before you got into the scene, what did you just any?
So when I first started seeing punk bands, I was 18 because there was no underage shows in Wollongong. But Mutated Noddies, Proton Energy Pills, Mutated Noddies for me were the absolute bomb. They were a Wollongong band that had been going since the 80s actually. So one of the very, very first original early Wollongong punk bands, and they were around for probably mid 90s, and they sort of reformed a few times since then, but that was a band that really blew me away. They had nothing to do with skateboarding or anything like that. They were just more like somewhere between Detroit rock and you know, like Stooges kind of guitar work, but also Ramones kind of energy. They were somewhere in between there. Exploding White Mice and the Beanies, all that, you know, Lime Spiders, all that whole scene.
The Silver Rifles.
Late 80s rifles,
Yep.
all that stuff. That's when I saw them anyway. They've been going since before then, and then, you know, going from there, you know, I was already aware of the English stuff that was around, but later on, accidentally sort of discovering the Ramones by myself, just flicking through TV one night on Rock Arena.
Yeah,
Late night TV music show.
definitely.
And from there, like Cramps and bands like Devo as well. Like, I was really into Devo, the hits that they had. And then sort of when you bought their records and found earlier stuff, you realize that actually they also were connected to the punk scene, and they weren't playing like traditional,
Very much so.
very
Yeah.
much outside of mainstream music,
Yep.
and they were all related. Yeah, that's sort of group. Like Devo, I was a big, massive fan of Devo for quite a long time. They're still going. They're in their 70s now.
Yeah,
They're
oh,
still-
definitely. And
yeah, records and yeah, so all that sort of stuff. None of that had anything to do with skateboards or
Oh,
anything.
no,
like that.
no.
Skating connection. There was a Freedom of Choice clip that was skating in it.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
That was later on. Yeah, the
Yeah.
earlier stuff had nothing
But
to do with his era.
that documentary, I was watching a documentary recently on the whole devolution thing on Devo. It was amazing. One of the best documentaries I've ever seen.
Yeah, oh, that was
So how they formed and you know, theory behind the band and all that sort of stuff, and where the name come from and what they stood for. You know, the people thought they were just this silly sort of band, but they had quite intelligent guys.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
they're
definitely. The song that done it for me with Devo, that got me into Devo, was it was a Rolling Stones cover.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Satisfaction.
You know, and that was and I thought, okay, these guys actually can do it, and that's what actually got me into Devo. And there are a lot of bands there that you wouldn't call punk, like that you've been saying, like Lime Spiders, Exploding White Mice, and all that. They were more of a goth in the 80s when they were first started. Like a lot of their punters were long-haired, leather jacket, kind of, you know.
Kind of Ramones look. They all had the leather jackets.
Yeah.
And the longish hair, but maybe a bit prettier than the Ramones.
But that all those bands you can trace back to that Detroit, the Stooges.
Yep.
Australia's always had a real strong connection between Detroit sort of sounding music. Like
Birdman stuff.
Yeah, that you know. I remember seeing Jello Biafra at that Celtic Rifles tribute night when Damien Lovelock passed away, and he was talking about the post-Radio Birdman, what do you call it, post-Radio Birdman sound, and there's all these Australian bands that came after Radio Birdman. And
every week at the North Gong, there'd be someone in that genre playing, you know, for all through the 80s and 90s. You'd go to the North Gong on a Wednesday night, they'd be maybe heading between, say, Canberra and Sydney, and they do a Wollongong stop-off show on a weeknight, and you'd see so many bands come through.
Well, yeah, you asked Rob Younger what was his the band that got him into punk, and he says the Kinks.
Yeah, I can see that.
Definitely. That early distortion on the guitar was definitely influential. Yeah,
for sure.
That riff, that's just like, it's huge.
Yep.
And if you want to go back to that sort of 60s stuff, like the easy beats, that sort of sound, the easy beats guitar sound. Yeah. The sort of guitar sound.
And Stevie Wright was just a front man of the punk era, wasn't he? Like,
oh, absolutely. He was the best.
Yeah, definitely.
I think when we talk about the easy beats, their best stuff was the stuff that Stevie Wright and George Young wrote.
Exactly. Yeah.
Bandra and Young thing, and they did some, but that really early, that sort of Chuck Berry sort of sound and stuff that they were doing, that real roll stuff. It was all Stevie Wright and George Young.
Exactly. I actually saw Stevie Wright play as Stevie Wright, not as the Kinks. I saw him at the Playroom up on the Gold Coast one year, and he did something to one of the backup singers, and this is on stage and everything, and they kicked the living shit out of him on stage. Like, he was that just fucking hardcore on stage, and I don't even remember what it was he did. But it was, and there was people up the front headbanging, and we're talking about Stevie Wright, you know what I'm saying? And it was brilliant. Like, Evie's probably one of my most favourite part 1, 2, and 3 songs kind of thing.
My daughter's named after that song.
Oh, terrific! Yeah,
that's Malcolm Young playing guitar on that.
Yes. Well, their older brother, Young, was
George. Yeah.
Yes, he was. You know, he was. He was an easy beat. Yeah.
Never trust Dutchman.
Do you do covers?
We've done over the years.
We're doing Dancing Queen by ABBA next.
No, we've done.
I'd like to hear that.
Banner Affair by the Ramones. We're doing. There was a hit in the 80s. It's an unlikely cover, but we've turned it into a kind of more of a Leftards thing. There's a hit in the 80s called Word Up by Cameo. It was a real famous dance track, but we're doing a cover at the moment. It sounds nothing like the original, but it works really well in the way that the style that we do most of our songs, that sort of up-tempo, high-energy stuff, works really well.
They make the best covers, don't they? The songs that are not of the same genre.
That's exactly
that you
right.
Don't expect.
That's exactly like the Ramones cover that we do. It's great and it's fun, but it's not that entirely dissimilar to the original. As far as kind of sounds similar. Playing a song that's completely out of context genre-wise, that works better.
That's why I got into Me First and the Gimme Gimmes, but then it just started getting boring after a while. But that's why I like them, because they wouldn't play covers of their own genre.
Yeah,
and they hit every genre per album, like the divas and everything. Yeah.
We do a Mutated Noddies cover as well.
Okay.
So the band I mentioned earlier, the Mutated Noddies, the Wollongong Band, we cover one of their songs because in my mind, or in general, they're kind of a bit unrecognized for underappreciated for the.
But we
I
do
heard them on a demo tape. I heard them on a demo tape 6-pack or something of that effect. Years ago. Yeah.
But our version of their song, as it's the same genre, but we do it our way.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like even Ronnie and I used to be in a band called the Heaps Goods, and we used to do a cover of Chris, or that as well, but Chris Isaac.
That's right. Yeah.
Wicked Game.
Oh, right.
And people didn't realise that it was the same song. People would go, "What's that? What's that song you used to do?" It used to be the closing of the set, and then we'd say what it was, and people go, "Oh."
Oh yeah, completely different chords, completely different lyrics.
Like Tony Bennett, I reckon he was brilliant. Tony Bennett,
Right.
yeah, he did he was a kind of a Tom Jones kind of a singer, but he sang every genre. Like he did Nirvana songs, he did Chili Peppers songs. He you know what I mean?
It's like later era Johnny Cash when he started covering, Depeche Mode and Nails and all that sort of stuff.
Even that the Jimmy Little did an album towards the end where he did a heap of like Australian covers like the Sunny Boys and the Church and stuff like that, which is it was great.
Do you like ska? Is there any ska influences at all?
I like the Specials.
Madness,
some Madness. Generally, no.
I fucking love Madness.
Yeah.
I'm a massive fan of Madness. I've seen the Specials. I've seen Madness a few times, but even back in the day, they came out to Shell Harbour Workers Club in the 80s, and I
Is
saw
that with
them
the
out
All
there.
Nighters?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was. And there's other reggae and ska and two-tone, all that stuff. I don't mind it, but I will say I wouldn't say I was a massive fan. I think Madness was probably the more commercial end of it, and I kind of gravitated more towards that than probably the more
I think that's
the real
the same
stuff.
That's the same case as like Madness were writing really good songs, so it doesn't really matter. Like Madness could have been an early metal band and they still would have sounded cool because they were writing good songs, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they could have been doing blues and they would have sounded really cool.
Yeah, they just had all the element. They could play. They had great ear for melody and arrangement, and they had that great sort of British lads sort of fun aspect to them, where they were just goofing around and silly, and a lot of elements of punk, but not as aggressive. Obviously, more just fun rather than aggressive.
I love that the Clash Black Market Clash album, which is supposed to be a ska album.
Yeah, that was my next question. Do you think do you think ska has any business being associated with punk?
Well, if you look at the history of it and where it's all come from, that whole thing of the early days where there was no punk records and the in between bands they would play reggae because that was the only rebellious music they had people like Don Letts in the early the 70s in the UK. That's where it come from. So yeah, it does. It's got that historical link to what was going on at the time. There was no punk records to play, so they played reggae records. Yeah. And obviously, if that went on in between the bands, they're going to pull the influence from the bands that they're watching. They're going to pull the influence from what they're hearing and the DJs play. And it's
definitely created its own genre, and then all its mutations, like groups like the Police kind of borrowed heavily from ska and from reggae. They kind of were in there as well, but also from punk. So like a middle ground sort of band. There's lots of all the mutations are awesome. Of course, being in punk.
And you've got bands like Melancholy playing Desmond Decker's Israelites. You know what I mean? And it sounds fucking 100% brilliant. No?
I know Melancholy, but I wouldn't.
Okay.
No. I remember seeing Melancholy back in the day, back at the Wollongong Youth Centre. I think I walked out halfway through.
You didn't like them?
No, I'm not a big fan of that 90s pop punk stuff.
And that was what I said earlier in the interview. Like 90s was the worst era of punk.
Except there were great things happening, like the whole Riot Girl thing, even though it was only short-lived. That was a branch of punk that really made a statement.
Yeah.
And really was a punch in the face to a lot of sort of establishment sort of
Bikini Kill were great. Bikini Kill were awesome.
So that those little mini genres that spring up every now and then, that was a particularly good genre, I thought. Like,
there was stuff going on, like Jim was talking about, Nirvana and stuff like that. Mudhoney, there's the Cosmic Psychos were going strong in the 90s. Things like that. There's still stuff going on. I remember, like, in that
Bad
era,
Religion weren't shit yet.
well, the Wollongong Youth Centre in that era, like, I remember I saw the Fugazi twice in the early 90s there, saw No Effects, saw the Miller Collin and stuff like that. Those Fugazi shows, some of the greatest things I've ever seen. No Effects, not a big fan. At that time in the early 90s, they were amazing. They were young. They were amazing. All were great. Bill Stevenson, I remember chatting with him, strange guy, but they were unreal. It was good. So there was stuff. Everyone's got their different opinion on.
Well, like I said, it always exists. It's not always at the forefront, but it's always going on in every town, every village, and every country. Yeah. It's just got versions.
Yeah, well,
there's a whole sort of thought process of, if you don't look, like, I grew up in the 90s there was a certain crew of, if you didn't have the 2 foot high mohawk and the studs and leather, you weren't punk. If you didn't look like Exploited in 1982, you weren't punk and you weren't accepted. I remember I was playing in a band called the Useless Fucks, and we'd play these gigs, and
they really were.
Yeah, we were. And people, because we didn't look right, people didn't want to watch us.
It was the same story for the Saints when they went over to the UK. They weren't wearing the uniform, so they weren't very widely appreciated or accepted. But they're actually, in my opinion, like
doing more. Absolutely,
awesome in every regard, including not looking right. That was their thing. That was their anti-establishment thing. Was not dressed like the other punks. But their music at that time, the first 2 or 3 records, like,
brilliant.
They're up there with anything else that was going on.
You even look, I remember as a kid growing up and listening to the Black Flag and Dead Kennedys for years and never seeing a photo. Like, you're looking at having Black Flag records and Dead Kennedys records, there's no band photos on them. And I remember finally seeing a photo of what Dead Kennedys actually looked like.
They look like a bunch of dentists.
Yeah, that's right. They look like a bunch of accountants. Yeah, and I love that aspect of they're playing the most hardcore music you'd ever heard. But they didn't have to look the part.
Yeah, they didn't. That's one thing I've loved about real punk is you don't have to have.
You don't have to overcompensate.
You don't have to wear a uniform.
But then
exactly.
And a lot of people would, punk crowd people, if you don't look a certain way, you're not really accepted as being a proper one. But that was the whole point. Like,
it's like a friend of mine played in a band called Mugshot, and they put out this hardcore 7-inch back in the mid-90s. It's now a collectible item. And at the time, they would go to Melbourne, and people would say to them, because you don't look right.
People say that to you anyway.
Oh, that's right. you haven't got the looks that people aren't going to watch it. And you just go, that's just wrong.
Is that what you hate about Nirvana? They try to, not Nirvana, Rancid, they think, okay, we're playing punk, so we've got to look punk, or just.
I think it's just punk by numbers. I saw them a few times. I've seen Rancid a few times, and I'll admit the first time I thought they were great. I saw another probably 2 or 3 times, and it was word for word choreographed. It was the same formula. He came out on stage. This is the same thing at the beginning of the first song. The set list was exactly the same. Everything that he said in between, it was like this. There was it wasn't spontaneous at all. It was a rehearsed,
fair enough,
show from go to way. There was no sort of.
I'd agree. Like, I haven't seen them live, but I just saw a video of them and heard the songs and went, this is just like.
I can actually agree on that, even though they're one of my favorite bands. but I can actually, because I'm looking back now, and I go on YouTube and go, okay, Rancid in Japan, Rancid here, Rancid there, and it's very choreographed when you bring that up, and it was all Tim jumping around the stage, strumming every 15 seconds, maybe 20 seconds. I can understand what you're saying. If that's what you dislike, do you like their music, what they play, or is it you're
I think it's quite generic. I think it's quite,
there's nothing surprising. Look, good on them. I know they did really well, and I know they're hugely popular. And it's just my personal opinion, but they just
yep.
Me at all. Yeah.
But that was what the 90s was all about.
Yeah.
Bands were going, okay, I'm going to mix rap with metal, or I'm going to mix ska with punk, or I'm going to mix techno with metal, or techno with pop. And everyone was just mixing shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I thought they were a Clash ripoff.
yes, and if you, hey, I'm sorry, if you sit down and you haven't heard a Rancid album, and you're laying down, your eyes are closed, someone puts on a Rancid album, Tim's vocals are fucking Clash vocals straight up.
Yeah, they are.
They're fucking. He had the Clash vocals to a T, and Clash, they brought reggae into their songs as well. So
yeah, that's just each their own. It just didn't much for me, but there's other bands in the 90s that had a few songs that I thought were really good, and
definitely
Bad Religion, early 90s, they were still good. First one, maybe the first two Offspring records, I actually really liked them, even though they had the massive vocal production and all that. I still liked them because they were just great, catchy songs, regardless of what genre it was supposed to be. Day stuff I liked, and it just definitely had elements of the snotty sort of Johnny Rotten vocal sort of style there. Maybe, probably a bit more tuneful and all that. But there was stuff going on at that time that was great. And lots of smaller bands too that strung out, and all those bands, they all had a couple of good songs, but I just couldn't get into the records as much as I could to the earlier sort of 70s stuff.
Oh, for sure. Definitely.
It's almost like all that big production and all that kind of actually took away some of the edge and all the grit out of the dirty, cheap records and recordings from early punk bands that didn't have the big budgets.
Yeah. And again, going on to that 90s thing, you had bands like the Mighty Boss Tones, and they were putting jazz into punk. They were mixing,
I've never forgiven them.
Mate, I was like in that 90s, I was listening to stuff like Jesus Lizard, more sort of noisy, sort of angry.
Oh, for sure. See, I was in the 90s was my decade of bringing up many children. So I wasn't, it'd be a great weekend if I got out to see bands and everything. Or I'd go because I went from the 80s of listening to 80s Australian punk, and then the 90s popped up, and bands like you said, Pennywise, Bad Religion, Lagwagon, all those bands were getting thrown into the mix kind of thing, and it was hard, but yeah.
I saw Lagwagon and Pennywise at a place called Feedback in Newtown in about 92, 93. No, it would have been 93 upstairs before that hit big. I saw Blink 182 at an all ages venue in Wollongong. I got to see a lot of that sort of stuff before it got big, and it just never grabbed me.
Before you got big.
No.
Before they got big and I got big, yeah.
Yeah, but you wouldn't if you were listening to, say, Triple J or something and Blink came on, you wouldn't turn it off, would you? Like, they had some songs that were a bit catchy.
Oh, they were catchy.
They were a bunch of dickheads, but they did bring out stuff that was catchy that you know.
They did.
They should have been paying some royalties to the Ramones.
Yeah, of course, but so should
Everyone.
50, half, we'll even go half of punk bands. Like,
Yeah.
and not even punk bands. Like, what's her name? I think you might have mentioned her. She, Billie Eilish. She remains as one of her influences, and I can't see it at all.
Oh, mate, I can see that. She had that one song, Ocean Eyes. Definitely the same progression as most, 90% of the most songs just had that 3-chord progression in there. You should say that, actually. I actually wanted to cover that song simply because it had such a familiar Moansy kind of chord progression. I was outvoted. See, I do sort of relent.
I don't remember voting on that. You would have got outvoted, but I don't remember getting asked that.
Also, I couldn't hit any of the notes as the vote was.
So what's playing, if you put your phone on right now and this is going back to your daughter's school class, what would be the first song to pop up? Like what's on your stereo when you're sitting at home cleaning? What's on your stereo when you're cleaning? Is there a
we never do that.
Well,
you don't
just before,
Yeah, you should see my house. You wouldn't ask that question.
well, before the boys come over and got this set up, I was listening to the MC5, kick out the jams.
Yeah, brilliant.
Vinyl, so I'm still always buying vinyl. So the last couple of things of what I buy, Mud Honey's, My Brother the Cow, X-Ray Specs I got X-Ray Specs, Germ-Free Adolescence last week. On my Spotify, like I said, a lot of rockabilly stuff. Still a lot of old 80s. X is a band, the American band X. It's a band that I discovered a few years ago that I absolutely love.
Really?
All that sort of stuff. The Silver Rifles, Elvis.
I've been listening to Susie and the Banshees, like their earlier stuff from the British first wave. Very underrated. Like what they were doing, very, very different to any, especially with a female vocalist, very, very different to anything that's happening at that time with as far as female singers were concerned. She was way out there.
And you got Robert Smith on bass. Some of
a bit later on.
Sid Vicious on drums.
Yeah, that was a bit later, but yeah, there's a few different lineup things happening there, but just the style itself, just those sort of wailing vocals and kind of really strange like arrangements musically, definitely very arty, very sort of at the time very punk rock. Kind of aggressive sounding guitars and a lot of energy going on there. What else? Pixies have just put out a brand new song. Actually, I'm a massive fan of the band, but didn't like the song very much. I can stop just now. Song, sorry, man.
No, that's all right. I haven't either. I bought last year at some point a record of Ram by Paul and Linda McCartney, both credited on it. It's second like solo thing after, I don't really go for a lot of his solo stuff, but that album Ram is fucking incredible. Like I pretty much haven't put anything else on. Like, I'll put one or two other things on every now and then, but I just keep playing that. It's just really good.
Electric Light Orchestra, I listen to a fair bit of that. I'm a big fan. There's another band that's completely unrelated to anything else that was happening back then. But massive production, arrangements, completely different thing altogether. Great.
You can't go past CGC. Even Back in Black. If I'm bored and nothing else, can't think of anything else, I'll whack on Power Age or something like that and let it be rock.
Yeah, definitely.
Like I said before, that early stuff, straight ahead, 3 chords, punk. It's punk rock, really. It's got the energy, it's got the attitude, it's got the swagger. The thing is, Angus plays a lot of lead break. That's it.
And they're a lot less pretentious than a lot of the punk bands at the time. They're far more down to earth, like proper, just no bullshit. Just out there to rock, and they were pretty tough too, considering their size. They were pretty tough.
They had to be
fearless, just ballsy, same kind of energy putting out there. You know, they weren't really accepted by the punk crowd because they were probably outside that. Maybe they weren't art school boys or anything like that. But yeah, tough as nails and just absolute rock.
Yeah. Wait one. Sorry, mate.
You getting us another beer, are you?
Speak to you soon. Sorry, guys.
2 more minutes, mate. 2 more minutes. We'll that'll be out there. Sorry.
Are you waiting for me to talk?
Yeah.
Waiting for this to get back.
I'm not too good at this, am I? Fuck. Yeah, no, it's all right.
Robert, what do you want?
He wants to know what else you're listening to. So I've exhausted my list of 3.
I'm always digging. And you listen to, like you said, listen to the Ramones. Who influenced the Ramones? Who influenced the Stooges? So I've gone last couple of years, gone backwards, gone to the 50s, trying to dig up, a lot of rockabilly stuff. Johnny Burnett, Carl Perkins, Dwayne Eddy.
Wow,
yeah, all that sort of stuff. Elvis, massive Elvis fan. This guy called the Phantom. Well, it's just killer stuff. Link Ray, massive Link Ray fan. I think that's a guitar player. That's where a lot of big guitar. The first guy to use distortion. Just great. And then I watched those the history of country music documentaries where they're talking about Hank Williams, and you're talking about outlaws. These gangster rappers think they're hardcore. Hank Williams was doing it back in the 30s. Even Chuck Berry. Chuck Berry, arrested how many times before he was in and out of jail. And there's nothing. Rock and roll. That all starts with Chuck Berry, doesn't it?
Yeah, sure. For sure. So, what's happening with the Leftards in the near future? What have you guys got? You're going in the studio?
We're going. So we're just working in this new drummer, but unfortunately he's overseas for the next couple of months.
No, he's back a couple of weeks.
Nah,
he's back. He's back at the end of April. He's only went for 3 weeks.
I thought it was 2 months.
He's coming back at some point.
Anyway,
he's back. Yeah,
we need to rehearse him up on the stuff that we're still playing from our old records, and we're working on some new stuff. When we get up to a point, we've got the new ones down pat. We'll record them. Got some shows booked for August. If he's back by April, then we'll probably play a few shows before then. But I thought August was kind of the safe day. He's also doing a big move from Sydney to Canberra, so he needs a bit of time to just sort shit out.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll be back sort of this year. So we'll keep you posted, of course.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
We'll definitely give you a free ticket.
You can interview us while we're on stage.
Yeah.
Actually,
2 free tickets.
Radio Rejects. I interviewed them in season 1, and it ended up the whole interview had no sound. So I've got to interview.
For the best.
I've got to interview them again, and they said, "Look, Tuesday nights we jam, so come up." Because they're Wollongong, come up and fucking do a live one while we jam. And I'm nervous, but that would be great to do it like when you play live, to just do a little.
Just in between songs, ask us a question or something like that.
That would be great.
You're just trying to make your set go a bit longer.
Yeah, we're always looking for ways. So
30 minutes instead of 25 or something.
Yeah.
Good. Just don't tell the audience about anything that's happening. We just have, this random bloke's just asking bloody questions.
And ask us the questions through like a megaphone, like in between.
Okay. One question while I urinate. What you two old guys? What do you have to say to people getting into the scene right now? In music.
Don't expect anything.
Just do it. Just do your own thing, and if you're enjoying it, just fuck what anybody else thinks. If you're enjoying your band and your music that you're playing, don't worry too much about what anyone else is thinking, because it's not about that. It's just about your having a great time and expressing yourself, and that's all it has to be. It doesn't need to be about money or fame or any of that stuff. Just being an idiot for half an hour on the stage and watching other bands do the same thing. That's all you need to worry about. And get some grog into you just to help,
Do it for the right reasons.
Yeah. Don't expect to make $1 million. Even the bigger, the biggest bands aren't really making huge noise.
No one wants to see that. No, sit here, mate.
I'm sitting here editing it.
I won't be watching this back.
What you guys don't know is that his editor is sitting right across the table from him.
Sorry, man.
No, don't be sorry. Most people have to pay to see that.
We might leave that in.
So I had no idea this was going to go for quite this long, and I actually have to get moving. So I'm going to say thank you so much for the interest, and I like what you're doing, just based on purely just your passion for the scene and for music in general.
No, thank you so much. I just went to do a leak, and I've got 12 family members out there on the balcony, and I'm just trying to. I had to go through a bit of. Yeah.
I find it hard to go when people are watching as well.
Yeah, it's horrible, man. And they're all going, how long are you going to last? When's this going to wrap up?
Wait till you see
Ain't nobody going to watch this past the first 6 minutes.
No, you guys have been great, mate. Thank you. If there was anything fucked up in that interview, that was because of me. You guys have been great.
I'm sure we helped.
From the bottom of my heart. Thank you, Sarah, very much. Thank you for the shirt, by the way.
No worries.
When my daughter's not wearing it, I get to wear it. So, thank you.
Hope to know all abuse you.
Hope to see you again in a couple of seasons.
All right, we'll come to this play sometime. That'll be good.
We'll play sometime.
That would help.
Thank you.
Share some laughs over the past and finding out what's new. Yes, if I could, I would keep hanging out with you.